So I just got done today talking with my good buddy uh, who I met through Omegle of all places. I went on there one night and me and connected with one other person. They skipped me, and then David was the second person I talked to on the Omegle, and I brought up my interest in orthodoxy, and turns out David was Orthodox. So we got to talking, and he runs an Instagram page called Spirit of Truth. I'll put the handle right here, but David's really smart, great guy. And I've learned a lot from him, and our connecting has been really helpful for me spiritually in this time of not knowing what was going to happen socially, and not knowing like what I was just not knowing. And yeah, David is a freaking awesome guy. I'm really glad that I got to talk to him. Me and David seem to agree on a lot. He's very thoughtful. We talked about stories, video game character development. I was interested in like the geographical development in games, and then we kind of moved on to Christ and myth, and like the stories that are potent to humans, and yeah, we talked about that for quite a bit, like sort of King Arthur type stuff, Sword in the Stone, and how that like is a story that just stories, these ancient stories being like patterns of reality that people try and like map onto, and sort of like how people map onto reality is sort of what I took from it. And and a lot of his what he's learned about icons and about the Orthodox Church seems to my face, dude. What's going on with my face? So yeah, enjoy. I hope you enjoy my talk with David, and if you can build on whatever we were talking about, leave that in the comments. Join the Discord, and join the book group we got going. Reading Saint Antony's The Life of Saint Anthony by Saint Athanasius of Alexandria. So I hope everyone has a blessed night. I still have my computer hooked up to the monitor because the computer's kind of screwy. So I'm looking at myself right there. Enjoy. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. The stuff's always cool, and I'm hoping to put out more stuff. So I usually just hit record before you come in. So here, I'm putting you in. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, can you see me?
I can. Yes. I can see you.
Okay, I had to get rid of the Discord.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, how you been to ask again, you said you were like going through stuff.
Yeah, just always something, But I go back to school on Monday, so pretty nervous about that.
Okay. And is that you're going back to like undergraduate school? You're going back to college?
Yeah, I got like 4 months left. I go to Full Sail for creative writing, game design,
Oh wow.
and I just got like 4 or 5 months left, so I cannot wait
Oh
to be
wow.
done with that.
Dude, what do you type of stuff are you writing? Are you like involved with like a company, or is that just like through the
Oh
school?
no, I'm just through school, but when we write stories, it's basically like backstories for characters and back plots. Like if there was a video game, I would be creating the profiles for the characters and their backstories, like everything about them.
Okay. Okay. So like dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Have you ever done any creative writing for um like the geography of the places that you've like I don't know, like story geography, I guess. Like that's sort of like that's one type of like creative writing I've done.
I did a fictional piece on Crimea that's near Ukraine or in Ukraine. I can't remember, but I kind of like put a fictional piece onto that and put that in history and all that. That's my personal story I'm working on, but
Okay.
yeah, but
Okay.
not a lot. It's more personal, like in depth, like character in depth, if anything.
So are you like interested in Crimea then? Like is that an
I just
area?
like the name of it. I just like the name Crimea. I just think it sounds nice.
Cool,
I
cool,
swear that's the only reason why I got into it.
cool. So okay, so the character development stuff, are you like how in depth are we talking? Are we talking like at the cellular level, like you're crafting like every part of these characters, or just for the story, or like how, I don't know, I guess like
It depends on who I work for or what company is asking what. Like, for an example,
sure.
it could be the whole being of a person, like the molecular structure, their race, and all that. Or it could be as simple as their psyche and how they act between different people.
Mm,
So it depends on what the person in charge wants, basically. They make the rules. I
okay.
just follow the directions, kind of.
Okay. Okay. And so who, I don't know if you can say like who have you been working for or with the
Oh
story?
no, I don't work for anyone. I'm still in school, so I'm still working under, professors who are training me in creative development, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, awesome. And then I guess the question is like how much of the I don't know, the biblical stories have like or like really deep ancient like stories influenced your like ideas of character development, basically, or like what a character is supposed to be, go through.
So I so obviously I like video games. That's why I went into video game design. But video games are just open world creativity. You just come to different conclusions with all this fiction, basically. So it opens your mind up. And so I personally apply that to the scriptures and to that because it expands your mind in a sense. You know what I mean? Like there's people that just watch hockey and football and just confine their mind to something that's not fictional. Like I know people that don't even watch fictional TV shows or anything like that or read fictional books. So fiction has a
Right.
way of helping us in an indirect way. I
Right.
hope that helps that
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Like I've noticed, like you think of like Christ is like this individual, right? And then like when you learn more about like your own like what an individual can be. Like you expand your horizons, you realize like, or when you expand, you realize that that's part of like the individual, and that must have been somewhere in Christ. It's like this. It's like um, a loop, kind of, or like a reciprocal process between like learning more about Christ and then learning more about like yourself and others, and then that informs like what you think about Jesus. So I don't know if that makes like
It
resonate.
does. You can apply many things to Christianity and to Christ, so many things. And I feel like that's one big thing that could be applied. It's not to say that the Bible is fiction or that there's fictional things in it, but there are things in there that you have to open your mind to. You have to expand your mind and look at it from a new perception. And that's what I personally believe fictional stories, books, TV shows do for people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like there are, it's like the meeting point. Like I've heard guys talk about, guys I like listen to, Jonathan Pajot, and like he talks about like the meeting point. There is a place where the fictional meets the historical, and those are areas that are like potent to your like perception, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Dude,
true. It's so true, to be honest.
yeah, yeah. And those areas are like where the depths, you realize like the depths of study are like uh just boundless, basically, or like just
Yep.
like inexhaustible, because they're always.
This situation actually came up on my Instagram because I posted, I don't know if you ever watched Naruto, it's an anime, but I posted a character about, well, one of the characters in the show. And it's a fictional character, obviously, but I posted it because I got a lot out of that character. And I got Christian qualities out of him. I applied it to my personality, how I grew up, and there was just a lot from that character I posted. And I had only one person unfollow me and cause a problem with it because he was like, that shit doesn't apply to Christianity. It doesn't apply in any way. And I said, it absolutely does. You just got to find the hidden meanings in some of these stories, these characters, and apply it to real life. It's all because it's fiction doesn't mean you can't apply it to real life. And yeah.
Right, right, right. And for some people, I feel like the fictional elements of life are the ones that are the most like potent, that matter the most, because that's what an artist or a storyteller is doing, is they're uh, taking the most important elements and putting them like on display, if that like.
Oh yeah, even if you think about the Greek gods, they made stories about, pride, envy, certain things. They had fictional stories to represent real things that happened in life, characteristics of people, just like things that reflected us as who we are. Like narcissism, the word narcissism, that is taken from a Greek story
Yeah.
about a guy who had an inflated ego, who literally caught his own reflection and fell in love with himself. So it's like, yeah, fiction is great.
Insane, man. Yeah, yeah. Narcissus. There's that Greek myth, and then like oh gosh, what's another one? Like the sword and the stone. Like that's a pattern of everyone striving for being, great and pure of heart. Like that's that. Yeah, it's boundless, like the implications of some of these like fictions, and that's really cool. That's really cool that you're like getting into it. uh
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
Dude. um yeah, yeah. Okay, so I guess one question, like, have you looked into any of the like the on my Discord or any other Discords, or even like I don't know if you've been on Omegle recently or anything, but like has there been any like anything that's piqued your interest, or like I don't know how long you've been on Discord, but like what your experience of it has been like?
So yeah, actually, yeah. So I don't go on Discord that much. Like group chats, I don't like them that much.
Sure.
And the reason is they're not personal. And when they're not personal, people get an inflated ego. They're going to be more argumentative. They're not going to connect with you as much. So I like Omegle. Like you just said, I love Omegle. But yeah, Omegle's been very good, and it's always good in the end. It's always fruitful and rewarding, 100%. But it's really good because you learn how to preach, you learn how to talk to people, you learn how to spread the gospel, you learn so much from Omegle because it's a personal conversation. Even now, this is a personal conversation, so it's very fruitful. But yeah, I learned a lot. Like I've been learning a lot through Omegle, but particularly with Islam, to be honest.
Islam?
Yeah, it's
Go for
crazy.
it.
I can tell you if you want to hear it.
Yeah, dude. Dude, yeah. If anything like piqued your interest that you were like hearing or trying to like wrap your head around, then yeah, wrap your brain around.
So the biggest thing with me, I just have to say, I met a lot of genuine and sincere Muslims, and I met a lot of them on Omegle. I would say like at least 7 to 10. So I can't like I'm not generalizing the whole population or trying to judge people I don't know. I'm just saying specific things from what I learned from talking to people. Um, so the first thing is I just don't get this stuff, right? I don't get this. It's like no matter what, you cannot get them to see the error in their train of thought. What do I mean? For an example, they disregard the whole Torah, but they listen to Muhammad's words like it is gold. It's like they don't regard anything but his word, and I will never comprehend that. It's like, even as a Christian, I'm going to look at other things to authenticate it. I mean, yeah, I have faith in Christ and God, but obviously I'm a logical person. I'm going to go to other things to authenticate it. They don't do that. I don't think I saw one of them that do that. And it's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. That's I think it's it simplifies when you only have to. It's like a monarchy, like a kind of like a different variant of like just, oh, like I want to be able to, one source is I can listen to one person and that's good enough for my like life to be lived well. And you can understand that, but it's like once you it's like when you become an like try and become an expert at anything, like when you learn I don't know, philosophy, or like you know you're being trained for any job, you sort of have to confine yourself to like one person's like idea of how something should be done, and then you kind of um you learn you get the tools, and then it's almost like you use the tools to, well, this is like the death of God idea, Christianity made a huge emphasis on truth, and then truth became the tool that that people use to undermine Christianity, so that like Christianity kind of like messed itself up by preaching so much about by its own, like Christianity kind of fell by its own hand, is what some people
And see, that's what I get too. They'll attack Christianity. That goes to my second point. So they'll first claim Muhammad as infallible, which is bullshit, obviously. Then they'll always attack like the scriptures, everything. It's like they cannot have a conversation without attacking the scriptures. And I even try to talk to them in a respectful way, like, hey, let's not disregard or not disrespect each other, disrespect our prophets, disrespect our books, just state a fact, state something that's not your opinion. And they don't do it. They just don't do it. And it's very sad to me. And if then they'll make claims like, oh, the scripture has been changed, or there's error in it, or this. And it has never been changed. It has never been messed up to the degree at which they're preaching, which can be very infuriating as a Christian, because you're telling me that I don't have common sense to look up whether my book is tampered with or not, which it is not. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think there is, like, you can look at different like the development of the books over time, and yeah, there might be like I don't know, do you think there's like things that have been kept secret that like in like parts of the scripture that have been withheld, like by the papacy, that like I think orthodoxy does a good job of, like, not hiding the important elements of scripture.
I do not think that. I mean, during the early church, it was withheld. I mean, only the priests, deacons, and higher officials could read the scriptures. This was early church, not like remotely like later. You know what I mean? This was like, I would say 1 to 500. And then by 6, you're getting iffy with it. But everyone knew, everything was spread by oral tradition. That's how everything was spread. But what I'm saying is the teachings were never mixed up. Everyone knew their teachings, and eventually it was all written down. But no, I don't think the papacy is withholding anything. I think that's a big controversy and rumor because there's no facts to prove it. They pull out Fatima, like the Fatima miracles and all that, but that's just a bunch of, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And that was one thing as a Catholic I disagreed with, actually. Even as a Catholic, I disagreed with it. It made no sense.
What were the Fatima? You what you were just mentioning?
The Fatima miracles were when Virgin Mary appeared to the 3 children, and Lucia, she said that she had 3 revelations from the Virgin Mary. I don't want to use the term revelations, but secrets. They use the term secrets. And the 3rd secret is for the conversion of Russia. And here's the diddly-o of it. Russia was Orthodox, and Russia was communist, but there was many communist countries. Like, it didn't make sense why Russia. It seems like a strategic attack on Orthodoxy, and I agree with that, because there's nothing for Russia to convert for more than Orthodoxy. You're asking for the conversion to Catholicism at that point, and that's not necessary for the stopping of the end of the world. Like, that's just, it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And at the same time, I just have to say this is the second thing that makes Fatima completely false, and this is scriptural, completely related. Christ already said the Father is the only one who knows when the end times is. He doesn't even know, because he is the one that starts the process. The Virgin Mary doesn't know when it is. The Virgin Mary doesn't know. She mentioned Saint Michael. Saint Michael don't know when it is. Only the Father knows when the end time is. So that was just a whole nother thing over the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about like scripture, like regarding the I know that no one knows the time or I forgot how it goes.
The time or the hour, that's the specific. No one knows the time or the hour.
Time of the hour, right. And I don't know. So who came up with the Fatima miracles? Where does that come from? Because I just don't.
It was by the 3 children, Lucia, and I don't know the other 2 names, but they apparently all saw visions of the Virgin Mary, but only the Virgin Mary gave the revelation or secrets to Lucia. because the other two died. Yeah.
Okay. So it was a matter of like chance that she was the only one who had the secrets. And do you think that's I don't know if the word's canonical, but like, do you think that's like?
No, they're not canonical whatsoever. You do not have to believe in the Fatima miracles as a Catholic. They are up to personal interpretation.
Sure. Okay, that's cool. That's a whole. I just wasn't aware even what that was. So that's new. That's interesting. Oh man. So I don't know. Are there? I guess. Are there any other? So just thinking about like the Fatima miracles and like there's controversy around that. Is there any other areas of like belief that are like or doctrines that are controversial that you think like either one way or another, whether or not they're
You're regarding the Catholic Church, is that what you're asking?
sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, I could state those until I'm blue in the face, but if I had to state two of them, which
Okay.
and these are the reasons why I left the Catholic Church, and I just have to quickly say,
Okay.
all Catholics are Christians. They have the Holy Spirit. They have apostolic succession. If you're confirmed, you have the Holy Spirit. So they are apostolic, 100%. I just have to say that. So the first thing is papal infallibility. Let's just rip that off like a band-aid.
Okay.
That did not happen. That did not come into being until the 1500s. When I found that out, I was automatically Orthodox. I mean, it was like a snap of the finger like that, because it came like right after the Protestant Reformation. It came right after the Protestant Reformation, and it was not an original teaching of the church. So it was completely false.
Right. It was constructed on the fly for like very temporal and like fickle reasons. Like you know what I mean? Like it was a matter of circumstance that it came about, not because it was like representative of like some eternal patterns, which you could argue that papal infallibility is like representative of something God would teach. But there's obviously
not only that, but there are evil popes in history. Like we all know this. There are terrible popes in history.
Okay, which one do you think terrible? Do you have a most horrible pope in mind? Because I don't know a ton about.
There's too many of them. There's way too many of them. But that proves that papal infallibility is not true, because if they were infallible, they would be good, or at least moderately good. But they cannot produce moral reasoning or a God revelation to doctrine while they are corrupted to the fullest degree possible. You are not going to get that by me as a human being. No.
For sure. Yeah. There's a lot of messed up stuff going on in some of Catholic history. Do you think? Okay, so did the so you said papal infallibility came right after the Reformation?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know the exact year, but I know it was in the early 1500s.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah. I have one person.
You want to hear something crazy though with papal infallibility? You know what Protestants do?
Okay. What?
Protestants apply papal infallibility
to every person,
to themselves,
right?
Indirectly, and they don't even see it. It's like, do you not get that you think yourself to be the sole interpreter of the scriptures? And they're like, that's not infallibility. I'm like, yeah, that is. And they're just like, no, it isn't. I'm like, okay, believe whatever you want. I respect you, but believe whatever you want.
Yeah, I have. Okay, so my thought on that is like I think of myself sort of as like a uh pragmatist. Like I think if you like I am uh like I try to follow the Father, follow God, or and make myself more like Christ, and I have this, um, and I don't know if there's like any contradictions or like what I don't know what I'm. Sometimes I don't know what I'm working with, like mentally, but I have this belief that if you like the infallibility of the person, like I think that's wrong because when you apply something, you can like you can tell whether or not it's uh, right. Like reality, when you hold a belief and you act it out, reality will tell you whether or not that belief is uh, right, or you'll come into momentary, uh, like you'll see God's wrath kind of like shining at you, and you're like, okay, that's obviously not right. Um, so I
Yeah,
think,
absolutely on that. I have to emphasize that because if I like sometimes you don't notice it at first. Like there's teachings I did not notice, and then a revelation hit and I realized it.
yeah,
But that's like a big thing, and I agree with that. Like they should notice that like more swiftly, definitely.
yeah. That's reminds me of like how Jonathan Pajot, he talks about like how revelation, and I don't know if you know who Jordan Peterson is. Um,
No,
he's a psychologist, and he talks about like the pattern of reality and how like
maybe.
revelation, like you go through a when you learn something new, you go
Oh, I know
through.
who he is. Yeah, I actually posted him on my TikTok. Yeah, yeah, I like
Okay.
him.
Okay,
I
yeah.
like him
He
a
talks
lot.
about how like revelation or the dying and resurrecting uh trope is whenever you learn something, you go through a very microcosmic uh it's like the a microcosmic version of the entire like Christ dying and resurrecting. Whenever you have to let go of a belief and like retool yourself or reshape how you see things, you end up like it's a little there's a little bit of pain involved, um, and yeah. So I think
That's
like
kind of crazy that you mentioned that because I actually was just thinking about that in that sense, and I agree with that so much because you have to deny your very self, your very ego, your very essence, and accept the truth of God. And that is very hard. I mean, that is hard, but it is very hard sometimes. I actually struggled with that. This is kind of like a big thing where I was wrong a couple of times, and I'll be humble and I'll say this real quick. I was confused. Well, not confused. I was completely wrong on two things. On the depiction of the father, that was a big problem with me because I couldn't see what was wrong with it when I was early Orthodox, and I had so much depictions of the father on my Orthodox page, and Orthodox, brethren and sisters were coming up to me saying, "Yeah, that's not good. That's banned." And I would see like, why? Like, I don't get it. So they would send me links, and they didn't really help me. So I prayed for like weeks, months. I prayed for months on this, and eventually one day it just hit me. Like it just like snapped, hit
wow,
me, and I got it, and I got it, and I was like, "Holy crap! I get it now." But yeah, and then it happened with the nativity of our Lord. There was a icon with Joseph embracing Mary in a sense, like in a weird way, and I get it, but I didn't accept it until I saw the church denied it. You know what I mean? And then I put my faith in the church and accepted it, whatever. But that was another thing I didn't see what was wrong in. So yeah, I get that a lot.
Right, right. That's crazy when you crack the code, so to speak. And there is, yeah, there's a pain involved, but it's not, it's like worth it, or like, oh, this is part of like my being becoming more of who I am, or more of who I'm supposed to be, or more of what I ought to uh, like be. So that's yeah, that's incredible. That's amazing.
And I will say this, I have to say this. This happened with mortal and venial sin too when I was a Catholic. I was Catholic for like 8 years, 9 years. And then the whole time, almost the whole time, I had an uncomfortability, like I was uncomfortable believing in mortal and venial sin. The papacy wasn't even a problem for me until later. It was mortal and venial sin. Like I despise that doctrine and I find it completely heretical. And I basically went up to my priest and I prayed, I talked to people about it. I could not believe it. There was something in me telling me this teaching was wrong. There was just, it was too harsh. And eventually it clicked one day. It clicked. And then I was like, okay, this is another thing. So I get it 100%.
Sure, sure. So you think there are some things that are just like mortal wounds, like, if you do this, you're kind of like screwed in a sense, or you're
no, Orthodox don't believe that. We do not believe that. Only Catholics believe that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've yeah, I definitely don't believe that. It's a, like, you can make a compelling case, but from what I've experienced of, like, dying to myself in different ways, like realizing just how much there is that is like redemptive to you. Like, I think you can always turn towards better, towards something holy, I guess, or holy good. Yeah, I don't know.
That is a big thing because, like, I like, my best friend's Catholic. He's a very devout, smart person. He's like really kind and all that. But it's like, I don't preach to him, but I still get like, it's like that accepting those teachings. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's like,
Yeah. That's the one thing, like, I've thought about, okay, am I becoming Catholic or Orthodox? And I think the advantage of Orthodoxy is it almost like helps you unlock more of human experience, or like more of human, like, more like you can enter into places that Catholicism just is like not accepting as a reality, or like, or Catholicism just doesn't acknowledge, might be the right way of putting it. I don't know if, like,
I will respect you always if you're a Catholic, though. I just have to say, if you turn Catholic, I'll be happy.
Yeah. And I thought a lot of that, like, I don't know, like, which, like, demographics you grew up around, or which, like, races, or like, but I grew up around a lot of Spanish speaking Mexicans, for lack of a better term, and Portuguese. It was Mexicans, Portuguese people, and all, like I was around a lot of loving people, but like, but like the Catholic sentiments were very much like in the air. I could like smell it everywhere. Like, Yeah, yeah. It's funny.
Yeah, I don't even take my time to even go out and convert Catholics because they're still apostolic. They still have fundamental, very close teaching. So it's like, I got bigger fish to fry, if that's how you want to say it. But it's like,
Mm.
those are your apostolic brothers and sisters. Everyone should absolutely respect them. And they get the most heat. Like, even when I was a Catholic, I got so much heat just for being a Catholic. And then I convert to Orthodox and then it just disappeared. Like, it just disappeared,
Wow,
to be honest.
wow, man, man. So would you say
Christian,
like
like Protestants lay on Catholics, they lay on them, and I don't know why. It's just so harsh.
yeah, yeah, I think there might be, I don't know, like I've tried to think about it and it's a really like I don't know, like some of my thoughts around certain things are very like uh not precise yet. Um like still kind of like has that like mushy like quality to it. So I don't know exactly why Protestants lay into Catholics so much. I think it might be uh fear of like traditions or like just fear of like what we don't know, like oh my god, there's these you know depictions of saints, like whoa, like terrifying fear over you know a, a picture, because there's no pictures where we are except the maybe a mental picture of God that we have, or like in the storybooks or whatever.
I
Yeah,
definitely understand that for sure on that.
yeah.
Yeah, I just think about it, man. When you're doing your discernment, prayer is the biggest thing. Prayer gets you through the whole thing, big time.
Dude, yeah, can I say like it's been really like renewing, like coming across like people like you and then people on the Discord, and it's like it's like, oh, we're all trying to like respect respect being, or respect like the try and like bolster the good and what each other's is like each other's are doing, and like just trying to like I guess teach each other, and like trying to like come at things from or like show angles that maybe might be a piece that the other person didn't have at that moment, that end up making you like better. I don't know if you've had like a similar ideas. I guess a question might be like, what do you think like the church body is for, essentially, like the body of believers, like what's their deal, right? What are they like?
That's hard to say because you can't like
Yeah,
generalize the population. You can't really do that. So it's like, if I had to like, it depends. I wouldn't even, I can't even answer that. You can't answer that. I can't generalize the whole population. And all like, I can't say like all Catholics or Orthodox or Protestants are bad. There's all good and bad fruit in each bunch. You know what I mean?
mhm.
That's what I would say. There's good and bad fruit in each bunch, and it's best not to generalize, but just to get on an intimate level with people and try to talk to them individually. I'm very for that.
Yeah,
Very for it. And in person or over video, because messages don't cut it with these topics. You have to hear someone's voice to get the message across, for
mm,
sure.
mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. I believe that I've had to like seriously like over the past like year, maybe like between like a year and a half and like 9 months to like a year and a half, like I've been like trying to refine like how I message people so that I get what I'm getting across. And it's just like it's a totally, yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
I will say this. I have to say this because I just thought of it.
Okay.
I was in an Orthodox group chat. I was invited, and I don't talk in group chats because, like I said, I don't like talking in groups that much. So I'll say, hey, whatever, but I don't do that. But anyways, today, this happened today. I saw an Orthodox judging and being racist towards other groups of people. And I even repeatedly asked him, are you generalizing a specific culture or race and judging them as a person? And the person kept saying yes, yes, yes. And I was just really shocked because I never encountered that by an Orthodox. But like I said, bad fruit in all bunches, but I left the group out of that because they did not say anything. I was
Wow.
literally looking at everyone in the group like, what are you guys doing? Obliging to this? Like, what is this? And I left. But I said to the guy who invited me, yeah, we're not dealing with that. That's heretic. That's heresy. You can't allow that. So bad fruit in each bunch, basically.
Man, man. So is there a doctrine that like is racism heresy, or is it just like overgeneralization is heresy? Like, is that just like not accepting and not loving? Would that be?
Generalization is not like, if you take an ethic and moral class in college, you get into utilitarianism, and
Yeah,
then the other one, and that gets into generalizing and all that. Generalizing is not, it's not good, it's bad, it's error. Why? Because
sure,
you can't judge the soul of a person, you can't read a mind, you
sure,
can't judge the heart unless you know them as a person. So generalizing is flat out wrong in just a logical
sure,
sense. But what was the other one? Racism. It goes the same thing with racism. You can't judge someone's internal values based on the color of their skin
sure,
or on their upbringing or on their culture, because people are different in every culture and every upbringing. Yeah, you got a lot of the same apples, but there's still or there's still other apples not the same, if that makes sense.
mm,
So yeah, racism is never obliged in Christianity, and generalizing is never obliged in Christianity ever. Yeah, I hope that explained that.
yeah. No, no. I think it's interesting because like how people will warp things. Like yeah, you have bad people who call themselves uh, followers, I guess, of Christ. Um, yeah, and it's like there's no. I mean, getting around that is as it's like you have to develop yourself into first like the kind of person who will speak out um, against it because I feel like I'm very open, so a lot of there's probably a lot of like somewhat there's probably a lot of things people have said that were wrong that I just kind of like shook my head at because I didn't like I guess it's just a matter of being like
Well, you're still learning. You can't put that on your head. You're still learning. You know what I mean? But to someone who goes to school for it, or
right
to a
and gets
devout
it.
Christian who knows
Yeah,
the truth and they're
yeah,
looking at someone preach heresy, I don't have tolerance for that, to be honest. I mean, I'll be nice and say, hey, you got to recheck this because this is not true, or this is not factual, or this is not real or authentic.
sure.
But if they go on this, we either walk away because we don't want to fall into temptation, or we are going to butt heads because I am not for that.
Yeah, that's
This is
smart.
why the early church fathers, like Saint Nicholas of Bishop of Myra,
Okay.
he punched someone for speaking bad heresy. In the early councils, they got into big fights where they had to Constantine had to separate them because they were brawling over this stuff. I
That's
mean, this ain't light
freaking
stuff.
awesome. Wasn't it? I heard that somebody. Uh, what I heard was that it was either Saint Nick or Saint Patrick punched Arius in the face or something. Like there was
That
an
was Saint
actual.
Nicholas.
Okay. So there was an actual debacle, like a physical debacle over this stuff, man. man, wild, wild history.
Because that's the thing. If you and people will be like, don't get mad over it. Yeah, you don't get mad to an extent, but if you're speaking right now that, oh, Christians believe in 3 gods, for an example, that is going to affect someone else's train of thought. They might believe that, and then you're damning them in the process or affecting their life in the process. People are that naive. So when I hear someone else speaking something false about my beliefs, like, oh, for an example, we worship Mary, we worship the saints. I heard that today. I mean, I literally heard it today. And I had to say, we do not do that. We venerate her, but we do not worship her as a deity. I mean, that's just not what we believe. That's the stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I'll have to make a note of that. So you don't, you don't worship. So it would just be a false idol then. That's what they would.
No one worship. We only worship. All Christians, Catholics, Orthodox, and Protestants only worship the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, 3 persons and 1 God. But there's a lot of Protestants who will say, we worship Mary and worship the saints and angels. And I'm like, no, we don't. It's in the catechism of the Catholic Church that they don't do that. It's in the catechism of the Orthodox Church we don't do that. It's common sense. It's common sense. If you just look it up on the internet, type it in, and that's insulting. And then they don't get how insulting that is for you to throw that on our head saying, oh, we're worshiping idols.
Yeah.
Accusing me of idol worshiping, which is a judgment. It's no.
Yeah. It seems very hard for people to realize when they're not on solid footing, like mentally. It takes, well, like with your beliefs, it's hard for people to tell. Like in general, it takes like a little bit more effort to be able to see the beliefs that like I guess compose, like the beliefs that compose the structure that you see like reality through, if that like makes sense. And it's hard for people to like be able to step back and like choose correctly.
No, you're right. I just thought of that. It's hard for people to step back and think, oh, hey, I might not be right. Oh, hey, this might not be what they believe. And oh, hey, I might be wrong. That's what we call humility, people. And people do not have that. They do not have it.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Not all people. I don't want to generalize and say all people, but a lot of people, or some,
Yeah. That was actually something like I think Christ like exemplified with his, like, I was thinking about humility and talking to some family, my cousin Jordan Sharp, about humility, and maybe I'll have to blur his name. That I just said, but I think that he talking about like pride and like what a healthy version of pride might look like. Like obviously not the damning element of like being over prideful, or like, would it be like worshiping the like who you are now over like everything you could possibly like be. I don't know. We were talking about like pride and humility, and the weird thing, the weirdness, or the like apparent weirdness of God being of dying, right? Of God dying. That's like weird as shit. Like historically, that's not a it's not a thing that happens historically.
That is so true. They don't get it. It's like they don't like if you ask a Muslim, they're gonna be like, God would never allow himself to be at that humanist state. Like they don't get the humility in it, which is
Right.
love in that sense. So it's like can't teach a horse to, or you can't lead a horse to a well and make them drink it. It's their decision to drink it in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also I wanted to say that this is a big thing because I study psychology like heavily. I've been studying it since I was a freshman in high school, and that's like my second major in a sense. I went to CCAC, or cut that out if you can, because that's my college and that's where I live. But
Okay.
I
Cool.
went to a college for that for about a year and a half, and then I still studied it in my degree program, which because it's important about the human psyche. But the biggest thing, if you have too much pride, that could be narcissism in a sense. And sometimes it's noticeable, but sometimes it's not noticeable. And this is where I say that if some people are on that mental state, there is no convincing them. And that's where sometimes you have to literally walk away and just let them be in God's, hands, because you can't convert everyone. And yeah, I just had to say that it's a big reality check, but I think that's a big thing Christians need to learn is psychology, because that's the human mind. That's how people act. That's how what makes us who we are mentally. And I feel like that's a big thing that people should learn in general.
Yeah. 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 I think there is like there seems in my mind at least there's like a disconnect between like I was like okay so I want to like I'm really interested in theology and I'm really interested in psychology and for me the like there was a disconnect and I think like what I realized was like the connection between like like the reason you study like the brain is involved in the perceiving of like theological truths or like perceiving God um maybe not as much as people think because the body is also like there's the resurrection of the body in Christianity which is like I am interested in the experience of like when you experience a like describing the quality of the experience of like a truth is a little bit interesting to me and I think that's what kind of like bridged it is the quality of like those powerful like experiences that
This
like
is when I brought up the fiction, the fiction, how I was saying how that can be relatable to theology. It's the same thing with psychology. You can relate science to theology, psychology, sociology, the list goes on and on. You can relate everything about it. But psychology is on human personality. So you're understanding your brethren in a sense. So I just feel like it's a little bit more, I mean, a lot more important, if anything. But yeah, I definitely agree 100% with that.
yeah because these powerful experiences those are like the basis like a lot of my beliefs are on the basis of like oh how do you like how do you know God exists one proof that I found that I really like is like drive down the street notice how everything isn't falling apart all the time like notice how you don't veer and crash into someone immediately and that's not happening every like at every mile marker or more like that's a miracle and I think like wait did you mention that to me
Uh no, I don't think I mentioned that to you though.
okay somebody had told me like wow isn't it like a miracle that you don't drive down the street and like immediately witness or be involved in a car like wreck like that's I think like how the father, like, or evidence for the father keeping things in check, I guess, or keeping things.
I would just call that, I mean, I was thinking something similar to it. It was the intellectual design of the universe, how everything is so orderly set up, like animal habitation and the, you know, the ecosystem. That's all like formulated in a sense. That takes an intellectual design. The
Right.
universe isn't just randomly going to make everything perfectly set up to where everything's perfect. It just doesn't work that way. So I just feel
Yeah.
like in the 21st century, knowing what we know now, that is enough for the existence of God. That's why on atheism, I don't get atheism above all religions, because it's like you have proof of God, you just don't have enough proof. That's not his problem, that's your problem. And then I'll say no offense, but it's
That's
the truth.
yeah. I'll have to think about that, because yeah, yeah. There's, you just don't have enough evidence. So it's like, it's almost like a, I don't even know how to describe it exactly. It's like you're almost being like, so like an impatience with the the universe. Like, I want to be uh I don't know, that's what came bubbling up for me.
Not saying all atheists with this, not saying all atheists, but it also is a kind of narcissistic tendency, because you're saying, oh, it runs around me, me, me. I want more proof. The world revolves around me. God needs to come down from heaven and show himself to me. I even heard atheists say that. They want him to come his ass down and sit in front of him and say, I'm real. That's crazy. That's so narcissistic. It is crazy. And I'm not saying they're all like that, but I have met a lot of atheists that say they want him to come down from heaven, sit there and talk to him.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
crazy. It's so out there. It's just so
which
out there.
God has done, like with Moses and the burning bush, but that wasn't, that was to a man who was, you know. Oh wait, was it Moses in the burning bush?
Yeah, Moses was
Okay.
the one at the burning bush. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That had to do with like him building, his virtue, and it was sort of like a quasi like a quasi sword in the stone, right? He was like the the one who was chosen. Um,
Well, no, the Israel people saw God. They physically saw him. But that's a big thing too in Christianity that is very affirmed by the Jewish tradition. If God came down from heaven, which he did in an indirect sense to the Jewish people, that still is not going to make you obey him, because you're still sinful. You're still going to disobey and fall into heresy. That's why Christ came. He was the person that got us to God the Father. But to conclude, this is my point. You know what happened? If God would come down from heaven and showed himself to you, you have to act more properly. Like, that means you have a higher sword on your head, because he came down and showed himself. So you better obey him, or the punishment's going to be severe. That's where we get into righteousness, because that's what happened. He punished the people worse because they physically saw him. He physically dwelt with them, like the Ark of the Covenant. He was
right.
there. He was there. So what I'm saying is, we are supposed to live by faith, because that produces righteousness. Him being in front of our face is not going to produce righteousness.
That's fucking incredible, dude. Thank you so much for talking with me about this stuff. By the way, it's
No problem. I just keep going on. I'm sorry if I keep going on. I just pull stuff out of this head.
yeah, dude, that's the that's the way you gotta play the game. It's yeah, that's the way you gotta play the game, because there's a lot of there's like layers to this, and it's like yeah, yeah. Whatever you feel. I feel like whatever you feel like you have to, like the perceptions that you feel like you have to relay to people are like always, there's always some truth in it. Like, and I think it's good to explore basically, and good to share. Yeah.
I appreciate that too, because I try not to state my opinion ever. I just try to state the truth and, you know, the facts and the common sense observation with some things. So I appreciate that a lot, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, totally. Totally. I'm always up to hear, like, it's almost like a like, do you feel like you've have a calling to I don't know. I feel like everyone has a calling to preach the gospel, and so however that, like, in some way or another. But like, yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, it's important to do that. And I guess I like you're gifted on a individual, like, person to person uh, level, which is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, preaching is kind of, I don't want to say a lot on this, but preaching is kind of like, I don't want to say it's outdated, but it's like the gospel has been proclaimed to the whole world, which means people have the free will to go on the internet and read the book. It's on the internet. You could just type in the Bible. I'm not here to preach, and that's where I'm so happy you mentioned that, because it's more of an interpersonal talk and trying to bring people in that way, not really through preaching, because they have had that, if anything, to the point where they're drawn away from the faith. I know people that got preached to for 20 some years and they will never consider Christianity because of it, or at least they don't think they will, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. And when you have a dialogue with somebody that's like bears fruit, or you actually see, like, oh, like, I'm a little bit stronger because of, like, this conversation, that's what converts. I feel like that's what truly, like, converts. Like, that's, or that's what truly, like shows what God had, like, shows what God has planned, like, gives people, like, a little glimpse of what, like, brotherhood should be. And, like, I don't know, these are just some, like, random thoughts.
No, that really hit me too. Believe it or not, that really hit me, to be honest. That really hit me.
Yeah.
You actually gave me like help on that, because someone was trying to ask me today, my friend, my best friend who's Catholic,
Cool.
we were talking about preaching, but I'm not like a preacher, you know, I don't like doing that. And now that we're talking about it, I agree, like what I just thought, which I never thought before, like the interpersonal communication will do much more than preaching, because preaching is already done. It's already there. You know what I mean? The apostles did it. The world already knows about Christianity. They can find it. So yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Right. 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 Yeah. It's freaking beauty. Freaking showing people beauty through, like, true speech, and, like, accepting when somebody says something that's true. Yeah, it's a beautiful freaking process that we're all, like, involved in. Yeah, trying to make the world better. Oh,
I in our own small way, yeah, in our own small way.
yeah, dude. Um, yeah. Okay. So maybe. Oh gosh, there's so much to freaking like, talk about it. It's nuts. Maybe we'll I don't know, end on I don't know if you want to tell people what your Instagram is about, or, like, what you got rolling through there, or like if you have any other thoughts that you want to, like, broach.
If I had to conclude with something, I would conclude by just saying that regardless of what anyone believes, we should all just love and respect each other. And even the scriptures tell us that. Even St. Paul says that strive to be friends with all people, strive with peace with all people. I know sometimes that's not always able to do, but that's my goal through my Instagram account. And that's my goal, to also spread the gospel. Well, not the gospel. I mean the gospel, yeah, but to spread orthodoxy and historical truth in that way. Like, not in a belittling way, in a condescending way, but just to have a conversation. And even if you don't agree, still respect you and love you in the end.
Yeah, yeah, dude, that's good. Oh, and okay, so if you could summarize your view of like what there is to be gained, like for any Protestants that might watch, like why uh like I don't know if you have like a small summarized thing for icons, or like why uh like I don't, you're a collector of icons for people. Oh, hold on one sec. Sugar on top. That's that is the mom. Um, I don't know why. Uh, okay. So you are a collector of icons, right? How many would you say you've collected in the past? I don't know. Have you got any recently?
I don't have a ton, but if I buy one, I really like it, so I'm going to keep it forever. Yeah, I got two recently. I actually just bought one. I went to a personal painter and he painted the Holy Trinity. I posted an image and he tried to put it in an icon form, like a physical form. It's the Father, the Son, Jesus Christ in the center, and then the Holy Spirit. Yeah, so I got that one. I'm just waiting to get it. And I bought one of Saint Michael delivering the apocalyptic revelation, basically. It's a very nice icon. I love that icon. But yeah, I love icons. And to try and bring comfort to it, because it's pretty simple in a sense. I get people have good motives. They don't want to blaspheme God or like worship other things, but like I said, we don't worship them, we just venerate them. And that was established during the early church, during the ecumenical council, I think 325, which was the first or second one, maybe the third. And if they just need a plausible reason from the scriptures, the Ark of the Covenant was made by God and has two cherubim stationed on top of it. Clearly, God doesn't care about an image of something in heaven as long as you're not worshiping it. And like I said, we don't worship them. And actually, people even take time to separate themselves from them. Like I separate myself from the icons. I'll pray about them from time to time. You can pray in many ways, but yeah, they're just meant to enhance your spirituality, to bring you closer to them in heaven in an indirect sense. Yeah.
Okay, I had one thought that I kind of want to broach, that I kind of want to know what you think. The idea that you can't represent something in heaven is a lot like, it almost seems like the flip of like pagans. I feel like pagans I've talked to have a hard time with like spiritualizing. Like it's almost like if there's such a thing as being like too, like there's divine sentiments that they just don't broach mentally. Like I don't know what, like there's like, it's almost like being too naturalistic. I don't know how I would describe the feeling, but I don't know, like that's the reason I think that I'm not yeah, like I like the, you meet people on like Omegle who are like pagans and they believe in like taking care of the earth, right? And I think that's pretty good. But there's something uh feelings uh that they don't like to, there's almost, it's almost like there's feelings that they don't like to feelings that they don't like to enter into, that are like good, that they have like a problem with. Like, do you almost know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if you present this teaching to someone like, hey, you're a Protestant, I'm going to present the icon teaching, icons to you. Instead of looking into it or praying about it or learning about it, they just immediately dismiss it and reject it. And that's not okay in any situation. You should dissect it, see if it's applicable, see if it's truthworthy, and then you decide if you want to believe in it or not. But I do experience that a lot. I bring it up and then people are just like, oh no, that's heresy, you're worshiping icons, all this stuff. So I do get that. It's like a rejecting of the emotions being presented to you in a sense. I do agree.
Okay. Yeah. That's the only thing that I
My advice would just be to like remove emotions from this situation, because it doesn't apply to our emotions. It applies to the historical accuracy, scriptural accuracy, the fathers of the church, the shebang. It applies to all of those things, not just to your personal emotions or my personal emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gotcha. That's yeah, that's good. Looking for uh accuracy. Like, is this belief worth like believing? Because ultimately I feel like that's sort of like there is a part of humans that do like a analysis, like, oh, is this going to be worth it, like worth it, basically. um like, I think the same thing goes for like adopting uh beliefs. Yeah, and there's
It's
a
not
like,
bad to be skeptical too. I just have to say it's not bad to be skeptical of something because you don't want to follow something blindly, but it's also bad to be not open-minded at the same sense. Because I just have to say right now, I just have to say this. A Muslim presented to me that there was a verse in the scriptures that was not real. And I forget what verse it is. It was like 1 John, I think 15 through 17. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that was the verse. And it was literally put there inaccurately in one translation of the Bible, but they couldn't remove it because it was already published. But right now, not every Bible has that sentence in it. But my point is, I did not reject that immediately because it sounded erroneous, which it did, but it proved to be true. So instead of putting my own personal emotions into it, I looked it up. I looked on sources. I went to see if it was true. And that's the best way to go about it. That's the right way to go about it. That's not the best way. That's the right way. And that's my point of that. And I always say that because that's about my beliefs. That was about our Bible. You know what I mean? So I felt those emotions. I felt triggered in a sense, like you felt like, oh, is this, that can't be true, but it was. And I'm glad I did not jump the gun in a sense.
wow. Yeah. Because a lot of the times I'll feel around for something like, feels true. I think there is like a balancing act. You have to like do sort of the unemotional, I guess would be like exercise logos, like exercise that party that can observe and see what's true, maybe.
Like toll houses, for an example. I learned about toll houses at the beginning of this year. I never knew about tool houses. So that was something fresh to me. You know what I mean? And basically, I did not know if it was, I didn't know if it was a teaching in the Orthodox Church. And basically, I did look it up, but I wanted to get a clear sense of it, see if, I would find it. You know what I mean? I spent 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks praying, thinking about it, dissecting it. It takes time, but I found that teaching was plausible. It was true. It was what the church believed, but I didn't reject it because it did sound erroneous at first. I'm not lying to you. I was like, this sounds a little out there. I never heard of this before. But then I'm researching it. And I'm like, wow, this is true. This is absolutely what the church taught. The saints talked about this. So, you know, go by the historical facts.
Right, right. Okay. So we've gone over, and that's good. That's good. I really enjoyed that extra bit we just got mapped out. But okay. So I think I will stop recording here, and then so thank you, Daniel, for coming on the channel. Like, I think people will get a lot out of this, and we'll see like what the comments are, and feel free
Oh,
to.
I'm nervous already. I never made a live video for an open, public. So that's a little nerve wracking a little bit.
It'll be good. People love it, especially that you aren't super familiar with Jonathan Pajot. Like, a lot of like the community members kind of like know Jonathan Pajot, and the fact that you came to like, whenever somebody comes to a truth that you knew through like when somebody comes to the same truth just through their own experience, and like a famous thinker had thought it, it's like the Emerson idea that people can find, like, there's universal truths that some people write down and some people just like holding their head. Yeah.
I agree to that 100%.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you, and much love, man. And we will.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much,
Hopefully.
man. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. And we'll talk again soon. And always feel free to like message me if you want to talk.
You do the same, man. Okay.
All right, dude.